Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshops, where we get together in the middle of the week and learn more about technology. Today's guest is Tom Burt, who's the Vice President of Sun City Summerlin Computer Club. Tom wrote his first computer program in Fortran in 1964 at Wayne State University, which began a career that spanned 61 years. He has worked as a software engineer, IT manager in the automotive, construction, aerospace, banking, and software tools industries. Tom got his first Apple II computer in 1982, and by 1984 was writing software for IBM PCs. Since retiring from Silicon Valley to Sun City Summerlin, Las Vegas 21 years ago, Tom has been active as a part-time software developer and webmaster working for the community's IT department. Tom is also very active as vice president for the Sun City Summerlin Computer Club. His activities include giving seminars on technical topics, editing the monthly newsletter, maintaining the club's website, and developing custom software for managing the club's activities. More and more of us technology people have been creating more and more videos, and we have many need or uses for those videos: personal, uploading to websites, sending to other people. And we need good software that will help us take care of the development of the software and the production and the post-production and the distribution. And Tom's here to talk to us about Microsoft's Clipchamp program that can do just about all of that. So Tom, I'm going to let things turn over to you, and you can share with us all about Clipchamp.
So basically, I'm going to come down and talk about the process itself, a little bit about Clipchamp, the program, and how you get around in it, the screens, the widgets that are on the screens. And then, as a real demo project today, I'm going to go through the steps of making, basically taking photos and making a slideshow. And we'll put in a few effects and transitions and things. I'll talk about that when we get there, but that'll give you a good sense of how Clipchamp works and what you can do. And then I thought we'll probably just have time to talk a bit about how you download the finished video, either to your phone or your tablet, or maybe up to YouTube, something like that. And I figured that would about use up an hour of time here. So why don't we go ahead with that? So I've been doing video editing off and on easily 14 years. I've had many different programs I've presented. These days, the nice thing about smartphones is right there in your pocket, you've got a digital video camera. So you can shoot videos anytime you feel like it. The real trick is, how do you take the pictures, the video clips, whatever else you've got, and convert those into finished videos, something that you would be proud to put up on YouTube or Facebook or some of the other media sites that you share things at. So we'll take a look at that process today. And I've already said Clipchamp's going to be our demo today. Its main virtue is it's free. So if you don't feel like plunking money for one of the more expensive products like Adobe Premiere, I use NCH VideoPad quite a bit. There's iMovie, OpenShot's another free one. But anyway, we'll touch on that some as we go to. So if you have Windows 11, most likely Clipchamp is already installed. I'm still, believe it or not, running Windows 10. because the CPU on my desktop is not compatible. And I didn't feel like throwing my desktop away. So anyway, you can go to the Microsoft Store, type in Clipchamp, get it down, just hit the install button on the Microsoft Store. And they do have another way you can get at it is to go to this link here, app.clipchamp.com. It's running in that mode as a web app. There's really no noticeable difference that I could see between the client version and the web version. If you're using the web version, you've got to upload all your assets to the web so the web version can get at them. All right, and this was the material, as I said, I passed by. So you can always look at my slides if you really want to know how to do that. So let's pick up here. The video editing process, essentially this is true for just about any of these video editing programs. You've got your source media files, and they're commonly called the assets. You import those through the program, and then they're basically available to you to use in composing your video. And part of what's happening there is the program will scan the assets as they're imported, so it knows the frame rates, the aspect ratio, the bit density, stuff like that. Generally, as you work, all of the things you do are recorded in a project file. And Clipchamp does this too, but they don't really expose that to you, not in any easy way that you can get at. Some of the others, it's a more specific model where you can save the project file, you can copy it, you can do other things with it. It doesn't really matter for what we're going to do here, but it's just something I found a little frustrating. I like to know where that file is so I can copy it and the assets and maybe work on some other machine. Clipchamp automatically saves every time you make a change. It saves it, so you don't really need to worry about it. So the steps that you're going to go through once you've got your assets imported is you're going to take and add these clips. And a clip might be a piece of video or it might be a photo. You can mix and match those. You can take, there's certain widgets within the program. You can do like titles, animated things. But what you do is assemble all of those in sequence on a timeline, which you'll see is a horizontal band. And as you put the timeline together, then you can preview that and see what your video is going to look like. Anyway, so you just keep putting your assets on. You then can go through. If they're not in the right order, you can drag and drop and move them around till you get everything in the right sequence. If, particularly with video clips, you may want to split them and crop them, so you can do that. And cropping doesn't physically affect the underlying file, but it tells the rendering program where to start and where to end in that clip. And if you split a clip, logically, then you can take each of the halves and operate on them separately. When you've got things pretty much sequenced right, cropped right, then you want to go in and do some enhancements, adding transitions between. This is particularly with working with photos, as we'll see. If you just let one go to the next, it's a very abrupt, jerky kind of a transition. It's nice to put something in like a fade or a dissolve or things like that. You may want to put some effects on, like zooming in, zooming out, maybe different color filters. We'll see all that when we do the work. And you can put titles in. There are a variety of pre-built animated titles you can choose, and then you put your text and colors and things in. So that's kind of that. When you get everything the way you like it, you preview it. Looks good, it sounds good. Then it's time to make the finished video. And typically, these days, you're going to want to make an MPEG-4 file. And so you go to the export function and tell it what kind of, give it the name. Basically, you can specify the aspect ratio, you can specify the size, you know, like is it 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720. Depends on where you're going to put the finished video. And just as a point, if you're going to publish these on, say, YouTube, you might want to render with a little bit smaller size, like 1280 by 720, because that makes a smaller video a little easier for people to download it and play it. And depending on how much cloud space you have, smaller videos eat up less of it. You might also, again, you can put these back on your Android phone or tablet or your iPod, iPhone, iPad, whatever it is. So that's kind of what the process is, and we'll see that as we do my project in a minute. So this is what the screen looks like. I put that in.
Could you make that window full screen to make it a little easier for people to see the small stuff there?
Well, why don't I just go to the actual program? I'll make that full screen. This is a slide I just put up so people could see it. But I've got Clipchamp ready to go.
Show mode.
Yeah, let me see. It's not going to be much different. But maybe you can see that a little better. Let me go past this. Let me describe some of these. You know, what I've got to do is I'm going to pull up my project. Obviously, if you've ever done presentations, you always do it first. Make sure your steps work. So let's pick this one up because this is the one I generated yesterday in practicing for this. And you notice that when I brought up Clipchamp, it had the various projects that I've done on the screen. That's where you know it's got a project file. And so here on this side, we have some templates, a content library. You can actually record video if you've got your camera up and turned on, right on the fly. They have various templates, text widget. Transitions are accessible over here. And then there's something called a brand kit, which is custom content that you might keep. Here we have the actual imported media that I did. And what I'm going to do today is I'll demonstrate doing the import and starting to drop things on the timeline. And then we'll come back to this one, which is already done, just so you're not watching me sit here for a long time dragging and dropping things. I've got an audio clip here. Oops. Yeah, see if I hover over that, it actually starts playing it. These are the various images or photos. Some of these were screenshots that we took, and we have a few photos down here. And what this was we had a little recognition event for one of our long-term instructors. He'd been in the club since late 1999. And he's he retired out of Dayton, Ohio. He was a teacher, actually a school principal, I think, there. And he did an awful lot for the Sun City Computer Club's education program. But one of the things that he did was every Saturday he would teach, actually it was twice a month, he would teach a class to our Windows beginners. And this went on 22 years. So he finally reached the point, just couldn't continue to do it. He's 87 now. So he retired, and of course it's fallen to me and another person to pick that up. I'm teaching on Saturdays once in a while now. But anyway, we had a recognition event for him in the classroom, and a bunch of people came. And usual thing, we had some cake and just basically a time to wish him well and thank him for what he had done. And we had one guy grabbing photos of the event as we went, and then had some of this other material that we had put together. So the idea was to just take all of this and put it together. Video runs about 2.5 minutes. And again, I volunteered to take all this and put it together and make it into the video. So what we're going to do today is recreate what I did. And I guess let me talk a little more about Clipchamp itself, the pieces that you can see. And just, let's see, I'm out in full screen mode again. I can't. My scroll bars are covered up. That's always a hassle when I'm on Zoom by the people's faces on the side. I'll just make do. Actually, let me click this back and see, I can make this.
If you go up to the little bar of yours at the top, there should be a menu that says hide thumbnails.
I'm looking.
Would be under a view option, and you can hide those thumbnails.
See, I don't see any view options. I've just got one that says audio, video, participant, share, pause, show, maybe under more, huh? There's one here about hide video panel. I don't think
that's it. No, that's your bar.
Oh, that's this thing. Well,
you can drag that bar clear across out of your screen.
All right, well, it's not the top that's the problem. It's all the thumbnails of people on the side.
Right.
Here it is. No, never mind. I got it. Now that turned it into a square, but I can drag it around a bit. Let me see if there's a way to completely hide that. Hide thumbnail. Okay, there it's gone. Much better. And then this little gadget I can put up at the top. Beautiful. You'd think after all this time I'd have mastered Zoom, but it's amazing. Okay, so now you folks can see down the right edge, again, you've got essentially this is like a toolbar. Captions, audio, video, the fades, effects, transitions. These are working on whatever you have currently selected on the timeline. And if you look at my timeline, you can see the images. And then there are these little icons that show what kind of a transition is there. And I'm missing one here. I'll come back to that in a second, but why don't let's see why. The only other thing, the timeline, by default, it's scaled. Actually, I can click this. That says fit to the window. So now my whole timeline is in view. But the individual clips, if you will, or images, are kind of small and not the easiest thing to get at. You do have a slider here that lets you pan around the timeline. And you have some magnifiers here. You can zoom in or zoom out. Let me zoom in a bit and see then what Clipchamp is doing is stretching them a bit more. Makes it a bit easier to hit a specific spot. And you can see then, if I keep zooming this, I can get out to individual seconds or fractions of a second, particularly with video. Sometimes you have to work in like tenths of a second, believe it or not, because you've got the audio track as part of the video, and you may want to chop it just at a point where somebody starts speaking or stops speaking. I don't know, maybe John could say, do you guys edit the Zoom videos after you record them? Or do you just publish them exactly as they
Oh,
come up?
no. Judy is a whole post-production company herself.
Okay, so she does do it. Yeah, I always, when I'm doing my own classes, if somebody inadvertently says something inappropriate, I usually go back and blip the audio later. But whatever, I don't want to ramble too long on this. So you've got the basic idea. Let's come up and I'm going to click New Video and see now we're starting from scratch. And let's go ahead and click Import Media. And because I've done this, Clipchamp remembers what I did. And this is just a file explorer thing. I can select all and then go back and uncheck a few things I don't want, like my PowerPoint deck. I don't really need to import that for making the video. That's pretty good. So then I'll just say open. And Clipchamp goes through and see it's looking at each one of these. And there I've got my list of images again, which pretty much looks the same. Up here is a little widget. You can filter these. Let's see. You can say, I only want audio, I only want images. There aren't any videos in this set. Or you can say all. And you can also sort these by various things. I'm going to sort them by name and say ascending. And you might notice if you're, I went through the raw assets over here. And you know, pictures when they come straight out of the camera have names like image, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 type stuff. Not very easy to remember. So what I did is I assembled all my assets, and then I wanted to kind of get things in the order, named in the order I was going to use them. So photo 1, photo 2, photo 3, and so on. And then some of these screenshots that we had picked up, I named those all thank you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that helped me when I was laying out the timeline to get them in the right order. I did also use PowerPoint and make a one slide thing just to be the title slide. And I wanted to make my own title rather than use the titling inside the program. So that's kind of what the names were about. So basically what we would want to do is start out. Here's the timeline, and there's nothing in it right now. What you do is just grab and drag and drop these. You can select a set and drop them if you want. Now, one thing to pay attention, I'm going to, these will shrink as I get more of mine, never mind. All right, and then I had this one here. And you can click your, if you want to see this on the screen, just click anywhere up in this time band and then you're seeing that part of the video. I could go back and at any time I can just click that button there and I'm previewing what I'm going to see. And with only 2 images in, there's not much to it. And then it stops when it's done. You can go to the beginning or go to the end. So that's kind of navigation. Let's see. Let me pick one more. And see, now I'm going to shrink this down a bit because I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Here was the first picture we took, and I said, all right, let's drop that one in there. All right. And once again, now I can drop the line and preview. Okay. So this was when we were all just getting there, and everybody was grouping around Bill to say, hey, good to see you. That's me back there coming in the door. All right, well, this is the process, basically. You just keep grabbing more of these. At this point, it's interesting, the sort is alphabetic again, so if you want to find, like, thank you 2 and 3, let's see. Again, what you'll find is as you begin to work on this, you'll iterate back and forth. That's just the nature of this kind of work. So if I look at this one of the things we had is all the different versions of Windows that Bill had taught over the year. Let me grab one more of those, and then I'm going to show you. Let's say at this point I decided I want to put something in between two that I've already dropped. Like here's Windows 2000. You can drag and drop, and you notice the line between the two highlights. And so then that one dropped in. Now, in fact, I might suddenly say, oops, that was wrong. I want that one at the end after all. So I could grab this and drag it out here. And I notice I've got a hole, and I couldn't mechanically drag them in. But there's a nice thing where you can right-click and say, delete all visual gaps, and close things back up. So we could go on in this vein for quite a while. But one thing that was a frustration with Clipchamp, and I have sought and could not find any way. You can click on a clip, you can right-click. You notice if I right-click, I can copy, paste, delete, duplicate. More options tends to just take you to fade in, fade out. The thing I wanted to be able to do is say, I want this image, this clip, to play not for 4 seconds. I want it to be 6 seconds long. And the only way to do that is click on it. You notice this little green band with the 2 bars. I can drag that clip and stretch it out. And what I do, it's kind of finicky to do this. You have to kind of check your alignment. And of course, now I'm at 6. The next one I would want to drag out to 12. Now this isn't bad if you've got maybe 20 images. But as you get to like 100 images, this gets awfully tedious. And I won't say that's a showstopper, but I found, so you can hover and make sure the end of your clip is lined up. So these are all within a couple of milliseconds, 6 seconds long. So now if I go back and start playing, see the running time's a little longer. And some of this stuff, the idea is people are going to read this. And if the running time's too short, they can't. So, all right. I'll just stop it because anyway, you can continue to drag and drop clips as long as you want. But this is probably enough of demonstrating the video. let me show you real quick. I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to grab my audio clip. And see, it's got a separate timeline band for the audio clip, so I can drop that in. And you'll see, let me delete all visual gaps again, just so it's tight. All right, so now this is laid in. It's much longer than what I have, but interestingly, I could drop the timeline, let's say the time marker here, and I've got a scissors. I could cut the rest of that, click that and just hit the delete button or cut it out. I actually am going to hit Control Z. I should have mentioned, if you make a mistake, just hit Control Z and it undoes it. And that can be a salvation at times when you're doing this work, because it gets very finicky at times. All right, so with that, let's I'm going to say back to home. My files I can continue without sync. So now I'm back to this interface, and the untitled video I'm not going to worry about. Let's go back to the one that I put together for the presentation today, and it'll be a little easier to illustrate some of the things. Now this one, you notice I've got video and the audio are essentially ending at the same time, and that's not an accident. I shortened the credits clip back here. I have one where, you know, that's kind of how it looked. But, you know, I had put this together and then I played it and I was looking through and I got to, here's one. All right. The running time on this one is a little short, so I could click it and just stretch this out. Again, from 30, I want to go to about 36 seconds. That's pretty good. And the transitions are there. You don't lose transitions when you change the length. But I was kind of looking through to make sure all my transitions were in place. And like I noticed here, let's delete the gaps again. I can click this one and control click this one. And then I can go to transitions over here. And I'm using the crossfade transition as the one between slides. That's sort of it's a nice effect. Let me click here and we can play through this again. Okay, so you see how, let's do it again. See, we got the back. All right. And it looks like there's the same problem here. If you just single left click, it deselects the others. I'm going to control click. Actually, let's go click and control click. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. Well, now see, it's telling me I have a transition there. Sometimes they don't show up in the timeline. It's sort of funny. If I do my, there they are. All right, let me just run along real fast. Yeah, things are looking pretty good. All right. So there's one other thing that I did with these, and particularly, like here was a shot of Bill in the classroom talking to the people. And I wanted this to sort of zoom. I think I've already got that effect in, but I'll show you how to do it because it. All right, perfect. I didn't put it in on that one. So let's go to effects. And there's a slow zoom effect that you can pick. And within that, you get to say what position do you want it to zoom toward. And you have any of these 9. Let me pick this one. All right. And then I can hit that little gadget to close that back up. Let me drop the line marker here again. And let's all right. So let me, just for quicks, let me come back here. I kind of showed you all this. I didn't want to just read my slides to you. Make sure I showed you everything. As I said, photo durations to me, to not be able to manually explicitly set those and set them for the whole batch at once, it's just kind of a flaw. Whoever designed this, I'm guessing it was somebody about 22 years old with very steady hands, no arthritis, that can fine tune a mouse. All right, well, we're just about ready to export. Let's go back here. I'm going to hit this at the beginning. One comment about the audio. This was done by the Mannheim Steamroller. Maybe you recognize it if you played one of their Christmas albums. This was a live performance, and this was the piece they did for the closing credits, where they're announcing all the people in the band, and there was a lot of applause in the background, which is why I liked it, because I tried to time the images of Bill with the applause. So just by way of that, this is where artisticness comes in on this. Let me play it for you and then we'll export it. It's only 2.5 minutes. That should time out just about right. So that was it. And I could grab my credits and maybe shorten them down a little bit here. All right, so we like the video, we like the audio, and we're now at the point where what we would want to do is make the MPEG-4 file. So we can come up to the export button up here. Smaller file, faster export. I would tend to pick that. And it's rendering. You can see the little progress bar. It won't take it very long. You can kind of see where it is. You notice you have options over here built in. They can share these to various places or save them. And it's getting there. Okay, so tells me, turns out it writes a copy of the MPEG file in the downloads folder. There's also an option to save it somewhere else on your computer if you want. If you connect to OneDrive, you can put it up there, and then various of these other options. All right, but we're done exporting. You can go back to the editor if you want at that point. But I'm ready, I think, to come back to the slides. We've done all of this. I'm not really going to, again, downloading to a device, it's pretty much, you should know how to do that, or if you don't, we don't have time to really get it. One thing that you can do, many of you may have already set up an account on YouTube, and YouTube's of course owned by Google. So you really create a Google account and then it's linked to YouTube. Once you're there, you can create a public channel. And that's basically then you can upload your video files to your public channel and share them. Each video you can say, give me a link that I can then send out to people. And you go to the dashboard on YouTube to upload your video there. And so it's pretty straightforward. The other services, similar. I haven't done Instagram or some of those, but you could. And the last thing, again, I'm not going to read all these. There are some links here if you want to get some other tools. Believe it or not, you can still latch on to the Windows Live 2012 suite, which included Movie Maker, which was quite nice. Video Pad, the one I use for my real production work, is available. If you catch a sale, you might get that for $40. And then there were some old tools. If you have DVDs, DVD Shrink would read a DVD and re-render it as an unlocked. And then Handbrake would take unlocked DVDs and convert them to MPEG-4s. And of course, you've got some media players here. So that kind of gets us to the end of my talk. Why don't I unshare? And I'll turn it back to John for a minute.
Okay, thank you so much. Interesting. We'll switch to Judy and we'll do questions that have been submitted to her before we go to open questions. So Judy, there she is. I found her. She's collecting and conversing and all.
Okay. Can you use Clipchamp without a Microsoft account?
I do not think so. I mean, it would seem like you could, since you can download it and it's a client app, but it's sort of insistent that when you want to use it, you have to log in to the Microsoft account. That might be something to Google.
When dragging an image to the timeline, why does it appear to add multiple copies of the image?
It's really showing you what the various frames would look like. They're not really multiple images, but it shows them that way.
Oh, I thought that was letting you know that you had expanded the time to view that part of the video.
As I make the time of any one image longer, it'll show more repeats
Right.
of that.
So
So
I was
that's kind of a clue.
right.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, those are my questions, and John's going to close the chat box now. So if you have a live question, so to speak, please raise your hand. Oh, and there's Gary with a question. So,
Gary needs to turn on his mic.
yeah, Mr. Kennedy, can you unmute him?
Nope. I can just ask.
Oh,
him
there.
to
Okay.
unmute.
Yeah, now it worked. Yeah, it didn't work before. Yeah,
Go.
okay.
Ooh.
Okay, I've got a couple questions. One question is, when you have the white line going through your video that you have, is there a way to go frame by frame as opposed to trying to use the mouse, which isn't very accurate?
If you expand the, zoom in on the timeline, if you zoom in far enough, you can get down to a frame by frame. It seems to me I tried using the arrow keys, and there may be a way to step one frame at a time.
Oh, yeah, I do see the
programs do that, but
yeah, the arrow keys do a little bit. I'm not sure if it's frame by frame, but yeah, it's better. Yeah, okay. Second question, I didn't realize about the arrow key. Second question is, I've got Clipchamp opened, and I pulled in one of my videos that I've made. It's like 12 minutes long, but I want to go to one section, just choose any section, and use the speed to increase the speed from 1x to 2x, but only a short section. And I don't see a way of setting a short intermediate section within this 12-minute long video that I have to increase only that section. Is there a way to?
Well, I think what you want to do is make cuts at that point, but don't delete. In other words, find the beginning of where you want the speed to be double. Drop a time marker there, and then use the scissors and cut at that point. Find the end, drop the time marker again, and make another cut there. So you might have 2 or 3 seconds of your video now, and that's where you could speed it up or slow it down or whatever you want to do.
I've kind of tried that, and I go to where it says split.
Yeah.
And it's not doing it. Hang on a second. Okay, but then it's highlighted all the way to the end. If I then move,
once you drop both lines, you can click the little segment between those two splits, and you should have that selected. And then it's not working, or
it's not letting me move the vertical white line over a little bit, and then click on split there to narrow my choices, my section. It's got the green line going all the way to the end, it looks like, of the.
Well, when you click the scissors, the split,
yeah,
it seems to like to select going to the right.
The full length, yeah.
You got to come back with your mouse and click. Now you might have to zoom in to get the region you want to act on wide enough on your timeline so you can actually click on it. If it's a very small interval, that can be hard.
Yeah,
I don't know how to. Again, I'm not on UC with your video.
Yeah, I think I see what it's doing. It's very hard to tell. It's putting a black border or a black vertical line in between 2 sections that I think I clipped. Maybe that is not very.
Well,
visual, but okay. I
Try
think it's,
clicking on that little plus icon just above the timeline to the right,
yeah.
and that'll zoom it out in again, which is what you want.
Yeah, and I see now that once I go back into that section that I think I have created, it's green now. It's a green
Yeah,
box, and then I can go to speed and choose
there you
to.
go.
Okay, I think I see that. It's very hard
You
to
can do
tell.
slow-mos and speed ups
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
yeah,
So,
I got it. Okay, thank you.
okay, you're welcome.
All righty, Jack, your turn.
Jack needs to turn on his microphone.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay, couple of questions. First off, among the assets for the program, can you actually use a PowerPoint clip as an asset, like a photo or a video clip?
Well, I don't know if it would be able to deal with a PowerPoint file directly because it can't render it.
Oh,
What
okay.
I did was I actually took part of the presentation originally. When we were doing the event, we were putting up on the screen in our classroom a PowerPoint series of slides that club president had harvested all those promos that you saw. I just took each individual slide, ran in slideshow mode, and then I would do alt print screen, which would just take a snapshot of what was on the screen, and I'd save that as an image file.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
little tedious, but I just banged through it. We only had about a dozen of those, so it took me about 5 minutes.
So that in that case, what you did was you added each individual slide as if it was a picture.
Right. I literally made a picture from each slide
Oh,
by doing a screen capture.
okay.
You could
Second,
use the snipping tool to do that too if you want. Yeah, go ahead.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Second question is, if you're a Mac user and not Windows, what program would you use as a substitute for this one?
iMovie.
iMovie.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I
Okay,
can't say I have much experience with it, but I've seen it. It's very nice. Does a lot of these same things.
okay. Thank you.
All right.
Willie?
Yeah, I had a question. I tried using Clipchamp for a long video file that I was trying to edit. It was about 2 hours long and it took an hour and 45 minutes just to upload it. So have you had that problem with larger files?
Yeah, I didn't really mention it in one of my slides. I had a note. The video files that it produces, the MPEG-4s, are huge. It doesn't seem to be doing a very good job of video compression when it makes the video file. One of the reasons I favor VideoPad is the outputs, the MPEG-4 files that it outputs are very compact.
Well, I was more,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
my concern was really the upload time because
Well, that's because the file is so big.
yeah, but I digitized a bunch of videotapes and they're 2 hours long. I'd like to take a 10-minute clip and it takes an hour and a half just to get it uploaded. And then I can edit it and download it. It's
Right.
another 10 minutes to download it or to
Yeah.
export it. But it just became too tedious and I just stopped using
Yeah,
it.
well, I wouldn't try to use Clipchamp for anything that long, I guess. If you're really into that. Like I said, VideoPad, $60 regular price, you might catch a sale. If you're doing any serious work, probably that's more in line with what you want to do. Or what's Adobe Premiere, I think, is their video editor. And a lot of times you can buy a bundle that has Photoshop Elements and Premiere together for about $90. And that, again, is pretty good. You could also try Oh, OpenShot, yeah. This is a web-based free video editor. I've tried it, but the only drawback I had there against was the output files tended to be awfully large. But OpenShot as a video editor was a pretty nice tool as well. So I'm not advocating necessarily for Clipchamp again, but the price is right. Okay.
And you can use Clipchamp with Mac and Linux devices. Richard Durand, you have a question.
Yes, I do. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Perfectly.
Oh, all right. Can someone watching a video done in Clipchamp be able to pause the video and then resume later?
yeah,
Do you understand the question?
yeah. But see, you're going to get an MPEG-4 file. Whatever you play it in, presumably has a pause feature. That's where like VLC, the media player that I had the link for at the end of my slide deck, is a very nice media player. Plays music, videos of all kinds. It can actually play DVDs. You drop them in the tray if you've got a DVD drive in your PC. Windows Media Player plays the MPEG-4, so there's any number of those that you can use.
Gary Bachman, your question, please.
Not a question. I was just going to add to the person asking on the PowerPoint. If you want to get those slides in there, you can create an MP4 very easily from your PowerPoint, and then you could import that MP4 into Clipchamp and then work with it that way. Just another way to get your PowerPoint slides in. Does that make sense?
What tool do you use to do that?
For PowerPoint?
Yeah.
It's just an option in PowerPoint to save as.
Oh,
Export. It's either save as or export. You got two choices there.
huh.
And so you can take any of your slides. I mean, I've done what you've done with Clipchamp both ways, and you can do pretty much the same with, you don't have quite the features in PowerPoint to do all the editing as you do with Clipchamp.
All right.
I did that back in the day at the Southwest Conference and imported it into Movie Maker, my favorite program, that Microsoft has not come up with a better one as far as I'm concerned since then, the 2012 version. And it's very easy to do. So Fred, your question, please.
First, a follow-up comment on the PowerPoint. When you go to export, you can export all the slides as PNGs or an individual slide as a PNG. You do not have to do a screen capture, and you do not have to do an MP4.
All right. That might have saved me about 5 minutes then.
every minute helps.
Yeah.
And I have a question. I just created a video from a slideshow. I remastered, so to speak, an old video that I had done years ago. And I didn't see a save function for the project. There's something about the files being saved into temporary files, and I wanted to know if anyone knows anything about that. Where are the projects being saved? So when you come back to them, if they're not on the screen, where do you go to get them? And if, God forbid, you clear out your temp files, is your file project all gone unless you have the premium version?
I believe that they are getting saved sort of in temp space on your C drive. And that is a caution, by the way, if you're doing a fairly large project. When you import those files, as I did at the beginning, the media import, it's making copies of everything, and they are going in temp space on your C drive. And if you have a solid state drive, maybe a 250 gig or 500 gig, you might get surprised at some point and it's used up all the space on your solid state drive. So you have to go in. I think it's in the app data folder under your profile folder.
Yeah.
It's the place. Hunt around in there.
Yeah.
I know I saw some commentary on that when I was Googling about where to find the files. And that is another problem, that they're not very open about where all that stuff is going.
Yeah.
And if you're done with a project, you may need to go in and clean house.
Yeah.
They don't clean them out.
Yeah, I found that very disconcerting. The other comment was that you try to extend the length of the clip one at a time. I did something, and I don't remember what I did, but I did a Control A to select all my clips, and then I did something that it affected all the clips. Have you tried something
Yeah,
like that?
trying that I was rehearsing yesterday afternoon. I said Control A,
Yeah.
select them all. I went to the end and tried dragging the edge of the last one, hoping it would stretch them all.
And
Didn't seem to do it.
okay.
I went to the first one and tried it, and it didn't stretch them all. If you can tell me what you did, what the magic incantation was, as I call them, I'd love to know, because that's the most tedious damn thing I've ever come across.
Well, I didn't do it to stretch the time of a clip, but I did it for something. It may have been for the transitions or something.
Well, the transitions, yeah, you can select them all and select one transition,
Right.
and it will apply that to all of the junction points.
Right.
No, the specifically lengthening the duration. And I could find no place where there's a setting to say, make the picture duration like 6 for all slides. I mean, I would have put up with that happily, but anyway, just one of those little things.
Mhm.
Okay.
Murray, your question, please.
Yes, well, it's really a comment. I just wanted to mention two free open source programs that you could use if you don't want to use Clipchamp. One of them is DaVinci Resolve, which is available for all platforms. The only caution is that you must have an NVIDIA graphics card. It won't work with a different kind of graphics card. And another one is KDN Live. That one's a free one. That one's not quite as powerful as I think DaVinci Resolve is probably about as powerful as Adobe Photoshop or any of those other ones. So that's, but it's got a bit of a learning curve because it's well, you could have 16 or 100 video tracks if you wanted on it, but those are a couple of powerful ones that are absolutely free and open source.
Right.
Thank you.
Good to know.
Drew King.
Okay. Unmute. Good afternoon, everybody. I just found out how you can import Microsoft PowerPoint into Clipchamp for those who want to do that. If you have the real Microsoft PowerPoint 365, there's supposedly a feature in the program that allows you to just export it as an MP4. If you're using an open source program like LibreOffice, you can use another open source program called OBS Studio to record your slideshow into an MP4 file and then import it.
Okay, good to know.
Gary, last question.
Yes, other programs have been mentioned for video editing. I like to just put in a plug for one that I use, which I think is the absolute best program. I've used it for many, many years. It's called PTE AV Studio 11. It's not free, but it's worth every cent, and it's good for Windows or a Mac version. Very intuitive, plenty of help, plenty of forums. Highly recommended. PTE AV Studio 11. If the chat was open, I'd put the link there, but it's closed. But
it will be open again, and then you can put the link in.
Great. I'll do that. And they do have a trial version that you can play with.
Cool.
Excellent program.
Thank you. Hey, Tom, thank you so much for your
Oh, you're welcome. That was fun. I hope people got something out of it.
your slides, so that's way cool, and I really appreciate you doing this.